Hi guys, my name is Sean. I'm a houseplant enthusiast from Jakarta, Indonesia. Welcome to today's video where I'm going to be sharing with you the care and propagation of the wax ivy, and this one is a variegated one. The Latin name is the Senecio macroglossus. Hopefully I've said that right. This plant actually comes in an all green form. I'm going to insert a clip where I found one in the nursery and I kind of like the green form much better. They have really interesting shaped leaves that looks like a dragon's head. When you have the variegated one, there's just a lot of variegation in the way. Don't get me wrong, the variegation is very beautiful, but the green one, you can actually really focus on the succulent shape and the beauty of the leaves. However, I only have the variegated version, and actually I started with one plant and one cutting, and now I have all this. This plant is actually really easy to care for a succulent. This is in the Senecio family, which is very similar to your string of pearls. They come from South Africa and they love really bright light. However, they cannot take full sun. Keep that in mind. A little bit of direct sunlight is really good for them. They will grow really fast and they will maintain this variegation. If you have the green form, of course, I wouldn't recommend you to stick it in too bright of a light. But if you keep these in low light, they will revert to green, by the way. They do well both indoors and outdoors, but you want to adjust your watering accordingly. Being a succulent, they cannot be overwatered. They like to dry out a bit between watering. Actually, one of the easiest way to figure out if they're thirsty is just to feel the leaves. You give it a little squeeze. Like this one right here is so firm, I would not even water it at this point. But this plant is actually quite thirsty. They do require quite a bit of watering compared to your other succulents, so you need to keep an eye out for them. But you can actually underwater them. They're quite forgiving that way, but just be mindful not to overwater your plants, because when you rot the roots, you're done. So just keep an eye out for this guy. Generally speaking, watering is not an issue for this guy. It's very forgiving. Fertilize it the same way I do with my other house plants. I use chemical and natural fertilizer. I dilute everything. And again, these guys have been grown indoors in my west-facing window, which gets direct sunlight in the evening. And some of them live outdoors by my kitchen, pantry, where they get some afternoon direct sunlight. But they are shaded by other plants above it, so they're not getting the full blast of the sun. They also propagate very easily, so I'm gonna go ahead and propagate these guys in water and both in soil. And then at the end of the day, I will also give you guys an update of over a few months period of time, so you guys can see how easy it is to propagate these guys. Oh, hang on, before I cut these up, I wanted to let you guys know that this is a flowering plant. So this is actually about to put out a flower. I'm not going to propagate this. I think I'll leave it alone because I wanted to see what the flower looked like, and I'll document for you guys if this guy does open his flower buds. But another thing is that these guys are commonly mistaken for a ivy plant, the English ivy, which is actually very different species. The English ivy is considered a invasive species. It grows really fast. It is a spider mite magnet. So this is an entirely different plant. This is an easy going plant, and it's a fast growing plant as well. And I have a feeling they can probably become a little bit of a problem if you leave it out in the wild. So do not leave these plants out in the wild. They will take over the space. They will destroy your local habitat. So just keep them in pots and watch for the growth. Okay, so this plant is actually put out a lot of aerial roots here, and as you can see, it is a prolific rooter. It likes to, I don't know, let me see if I can find some right here. I'm gonna insert some close-ups. Maybe that would be better if I can show you up close, because this is not a good angle to show you the roots. But I guess the high humidity is encouraging those roots, and they can actually sprout roots anywhere along the stem. So you can just need one stem with maybe 1 or 2 leaves per cutting. So let's get started. Oh, and sorry, I keep forgetting things. If you give it really good light, it will give you some of this beautiful pink blush around the tips of the leaves. Very cute. But this is the one that we're going to be cutting up today. And I think my mom took a bit of a cutting for her flower arrangements. I've got my pruning shears. So let me just go ahead and take off vines. I'm going to take off the yellow leaves, not yellow, variegated leaves, because they're not photosynthesizing. So I'm going to stick this in water. As you can see here, there's a little bit of root action happening here. Roots are going to sprout from somewhere along the stem, and there's some roots here already. Very cute. So I'm just going to plop this in water and show you guys what it looks like in a few weeks time. Okay, let's take this whole thing out of the pot. They don't have a lot of root. Oh, sorry, that's covered in mealybugs. Maybe that's why it's not doing so well. A lot of my plants are covered in mealybugs. I haven't been on top of my pest control. Okay, so let me see. So I'm going to give this a good pesticide, I guess, after this video. I can take another vine like this. So this will be another good candidate for water propagation. Of course I want to take out some leaves here, and also maybe you know what, I'm going to take off another one here and another one here, because you don't want too many leaves when you're propagating. Like this is damaged anyway, so it's going to drain energy from the plant. Yeah, so I'm going to just stick this. Oh, look at that, this already got aerial roots. So I'm just going to stick that into the water and see what happens. As for the rest of them, I would really have to treat this with pesticide, I guess. So I have them grown in terracotta and also plastic pot, and they don't seem to be bothered by either, but if you have them in terracotta pots, you want to water them a little bit more often. This is really pretty actually. I feel bad cutting it. I may actually just stick this whole thing in potting mix. Yeah, I may do that. I'm going to take off the lower leaf. I'm going to put it back in this pot. I'm going to take off a few lower leaves, because that actually has gotten really crazy leggy, the previous pot. And I'm going to give it my general purpose potting mix. I've got some general purpose potting mix here. With terracotta, I go with general. You can also give them cacti and succulent potting mix if you want, but then you'll have to water it quite. Again, these guys are a little bit thirstier than your regular succulents. So Senecios, they cannot be propagated by leaf cuttings like this. You can't. You need a part of the main stem. Correct me if I'm wrong though, because I'm not 100%. And this one is actually giving me full white vine, and I don't want that, so that's done. This is quite interesting. Look at that. So this is where the main roots are from, and it's just put out a vine. The vine rooted also into the soil. So I have all these empty nodes here. I wonder if anything will sprout out of these. I have a feeling they will. Look at this one over here. Hang on. That's a little growth here. I don't know if you see that sharp point. I believe a leaf will come out from there. So you know what, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put this in a separate pot so I can observe it. And because this is such a young plant, I cannot leave this out in the rain. It will get overwatered. Oh, hang on, look at this. This is a new branch that sprouted. Hang on, let me look at the other side. Yeah, so this is a new branch that sprouted out of this main stem. So they do that, they randomly put out shoots, and you can't really control where they put out shoots from. So the reasoning behind keeping this intact, let me cut off the edge actually, is because some of these may give me vines. So let's see in a few months time if it does. So I want a little bit of that main stem still exposed actually. Yeah, kind of like this. I don't know if you can see, yeah. So let's see if something will sprout from the main stem. But this should root beautifully actually. So that's another one. That's the cutting. Because some of these, like, they kept trailing around in the pot, so there's no way to know which side up it is. But I'm not worried because I know that they will root very easily. So I'm just gonna cut them up in sections like this. Hack away. This one I'm not even gonna bother keeping. I'm done. Okay, so let me show you the cuttings that we've got. Like, this is a good cutting. I'm actually going to take off some of the lower leaves. Too many leaves is bad for the. Oh my god, I took off too much, sorry. But this is still good actually. This is still a good cutting. Look at that. You still got the main stem. And this is gonna be okay. Look at all the mealybugs. They're so happy here. Yeah. Do not judge me. Everybody's got mealybugs. Okay, so these are all good viable cuttings. I'm gonna take this one leaf off. This is a good cutting. So for these cuttings, I do need to keep them away from the rain because they cannot get too soggy for the next few days. I want to keep the potting mix a little bit damp, or humid rather, but not, and I don't want to push this potting mix down. I want to keep it a little bit airy. So I'm going to mist it after this, just mist it heavily, and then just mist it every few days or so. When you feel like the top is really dry, that's when I want to mist it. But I don't want to let it dry out completely. These cuttings can dry out, but because of their succulent-like leaves, they actually do store a little bit of water. So I'm actually not that worried that this will dry out too much. But again, I know I keep going around in circles. Don't let them dry out for too long or too much. Be on top of them. They need that moisture in the soil, but not soggy moisture, not sopping wet. Just enough moisture for the roots to find something to drink. I'm gonna take some from here actually, because this is not enough for one video. What am I talking about? Okay. Some of these are a bit bald, like there's a few branches without leaves, so I'm gonna take it off like this. Take that out. There. And then what I'm gonna do is, I can even turn this into 2 plants, I think. This is gonna become 2 cuttings. So I'm just gonna stick this into the potting mix. I'm gonna take this one lower leaf off. Again, I don't want too many leaves. This is enough. Sorry, it's not in frame. Very easy. And because I did see some mealybugs, what I'm gonna do is I just want to add a little bit of fura down here. Whenever I water, I don't want to touch that. Whenever I water it, it will get into this potting mix and the roots will absorb it, and any mealybugs or any pests are going to die. A little bit of slow release fertilizer, just tiny amounts like this. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, for a small pot, you just need, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 little pellets. So that's one pot. I guess let's do another pot. Okay, I think I'm all set. So I'm gonna mix this up, and then I'm gonna propagate these in water, these 3 cuttings. And then I will see you guys in a few months. Sorry, let me show you the parent plants too. These 2 are the more established ones. Yeah, I'll see you guys in a few months. Bye. It's been 6 weeks since our propagation. Actually, I have a little bit of grow light action going on here. I need to move this back, it's too bright for it. But yeah, there are some plants here that are just propagating away. There's a west window. So it's just supplemental light for these guys. So this is getting equivalent to bright indirect light with a little bit of direct sunlight. Let me show you the cuttings. Ta-da, they're all rooted. So I'm going to pot these guys up, and this area is actually infested with spider mites, so I'm going to have to wash this up with soap before I pot it up. And these guys, they're doing so much better. These are the ones that we just stuck straight into potting mix. All of them did well. I think this one's getting a little bit too much sun because it's pushing out only variegated leaves, so I need to move this back, maybe like further back here, so it's not getting too much direct sunlight. But everything's growing, and it didn't give me any problem. I just kind of water this lightly every day. Sometimes I forget to water it, sometimes I overwater it, but it's fine. This root actually rooted into the potting mix. This is a very easy plant to care for. And then let's look at some more. This one is doing okay. This is where a lot of cuttings are stuck into one pot. Everybody's growing. You see the baby leaves, they're so cute. Oh my goodness. That one too. Yeah, I did not lose any of the vines, so this is doing well. And this is the one that is in terracotta pot and general purpose potting mix. This one does dry up a little bit faster. I do water this one every day. The others I kind of neglect. Sometimes I just leave them alone for too long sometimes, or sometimes they just get rained on. But it's given me no problems. I'm really surprised. I thought some of them would turn to mush by now. But this is the one that I really have to keep an eye out for, because this actually just watered this today, but if I don't water this, the next day this potting mix will be bone dry. It will be light brown in color. But this took off very easily. I could have taken single node cuttings for this if I'm really greedy, but you can also propagate the whole vine, I guess. You just stick them straight into soil. This is the last one. This is also doing well. I'm just gonna quickly go through this one. Look at that one, it's so cute. This is such a cool plant, you guys. It will get huge and really bushy, and it will trail really beautifully. But do keep an eye out for mealybugs sometimes. Here's that parent plant. I'm sorry it doesn't look so good. Look at all these yellowing leaves. I definitely overwatered this because this ledge is empty. There used to be a lot of Hoyas. I used to just hose everything down, but now that the Hoyas are gone, I can basically hose this down pretty aggressively every day. I should back off with watering, but they should bounce back as long as I don't keep overwatering it. As you can see here, a lot of its vines are rotting off. Or I may actually propagate all of this and start over. Maybe I'll do that because it looks so sad now. Look at all these aerial roots. This is just not pretty because it's just an old plant that is trying to clamber everywhere. So I'm gonna do that, yeah. And this is another cutting that we have. We just stuck this straight into potting mix. Doing well. This very bare stem. So I don't know, I may just cut this off, because when you do cut the top off, the bottom should push out some vines. But you know what, I have these cuttings in my hand, the ones that we water propagated, so I'm gonna pot those into here together because I have too many of these plants. I don't even know what I'm gonna do with so many of them. So I'm gonna consolidate them into one pot and have them grow into massive bushy plants. Sorry for the coffee table. I have been very busy. So I basically stuck those cuttings in here, just put it in there. They should do their own thing. I don't know. In fact, actually, you know what? I may combine more of the pots together. I don't want like 5 pots. I just need maybe 2 pots of these that are bushy and looking good. So I may do that for another time. But I just want to quickly show you that I actually did buy the all green version. They came in really bad shape. I bought them really cheap online. So this is going to actually take a while to rehab. I hope it doesn't die, of course. Okay, so it's actually 1 hour from our last clip. I realized 3 things. Number 1, these guys actually, they love to vine up. I just remember that, seeing them in nurseries. They love to kind of clamber over these things and just twirl. I don't know what you call this. They grab onto these and they look really beautiful that way. They like that better than hanging down. And second, I bought some soldering iron, which is why I can now poke these holes in the pots. And the third is that I actually bought a lot of these wire hangers. So all of these came together, and then I just decided to quickly do that for everybody. And also I cut up the parent plant. So now they're all full pots, as you can see here. Yeah, so much cleaner now. I got something out of the way. There's actually a few cuttings in that last pot. So this is gonna get really bushy over a period of time. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm at Botanist on Instagram. If you want to DM me in any questions regarding plant care and propagation, I'll try my best to get back to you. Meanwhile, do take care and stay safe. I will see you in the next video.